Today, for those of you guys that are curious what we're doing, we're going to be running down all of the returning Pokemon in the Crown Tundra. I guess I'll give you guys a link to this actual thread so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. But for those of you guys that don't want to know these returning Pokemon, maybe you guys skip this video if you guys want to be surprised. But a lot of people have been asking me my opinion on the returning Pokemon. I know Moxie Boosted's made a video. I know Wolf Glick's made a video. A lot of the actual PokeTubers have made videos talking about the returning Pokemon coming in the Crown Tundra on October 22nd. And I kind of just wanted to give my thoughts because I actually have watched a few of the other PokeTubers, and I feel that they're building false hype, or maybe they're overexcited where they really shouldn't be. I guess the perfect way to describe the Crown Tundra is we have X Pokemon at home. Other than the Ubers that are coming back, like the Kyogres, Ho-Ohs, Groudons, we have better versions of a lot of the Pokemon that are coming back already in the deck. So it's not like they're going to be replacing stuff that we already have. And I just want to set the record straight. I'm actually 2 for 2 with these type of videos. Before Sword and Shield came out, I did one talking about all of the Pokemon that were going to be in Sword and Shield, and pretty much every single Pokemon, even before using them, seeing them, or knowing anything about them, I was able to pinpoint how they were going to be used, how much they were going to be used, and the best way to use them before the game even came out. And then when the Isle of Armor came out, I did the same thing, and I was able to pretty much pinpoint how, when, and where to use every single Pokemon. So I feel that I'm a pretty realistic person when looking at these Pokemon in a little bit of a vacuum, because again, we don't exactly know the meta, but I've been playing Pokemon since the beginning, and I do feel that you know, I have a pretty good grasp on, like, all these Pokemon listed right here. I've used all these Pokemon for the most part at events before. I have real life experience using these Pokemon, so you can pretty much assure that I'm someone that might give you an honest answer as to how good they're going to be. Let's talk about Blaziken. So first thing you want to do is you want to go to this area right here. We want to go to Pokemon Showdown, and we can actually see all of Blaziken's base stats. Now, one really cool thing about Blaziken is that he gets speed boost. I think that's the thing that a lot of people know about Blaziken that really dictates like how the Pokemon is played. He gets speed boost at the end of every single turn. Its speed is raised by 1 stage, so it's a great Pokemon, especially for doubles, because you can go Protect with Blaziken, which is a really good move in doubles, get those speed boosts, and it just makes it really, really fast. But remember, I wanted to talk to you guys about how building like that false hype for these things is incorrect. If we look at past formats, Blaziken's just been kind of okay. It hasn't really been meta-defining. It's been a decent Kangaskhan check at some points in the the history of the game, just because Mega Kangaskhan has been so good. But there is one little Pokemon that pretty much says this thing cannot be used, and that is Talonflame. Talonflame pretty much says Blaziken can go die, because Talonflame can always just use that Gale Wings boosted flying attack, like Brave Bird, Dual Wing Beat, stuff like that. And Blaziken, being a fire fighting, takes super effective damage, which means it's pretty not great. There's another Pokemon. Like, remember, a whole point about this list is kind of trying to say we have X Pokemon at home. Tell me a reason to use a Blaziken over something like a Cinderace. I want you guys to actually tell me why anyone would use Blaziken over Cinderace. They're like, well, Blaziken can get a speed boost and then it outspeeds the Cinderace. And if it's protecting, it won't die. It's like, okay, cool. Cinderace, Dynamax, Max Airstream, you both get a speed boost. Then what? You know? Blaziken gets Rock Slide. Rock Slide doesn't do anything. Because, like, Blaziken Rock Slide just wouldn't do enough damage to a Cinderace at all. Because Blaziken is only 120 attack. You need, like, orbs. You need so much more damage multipliers. And so, I'm just trying to tell you guys, honestly, Blaziken is super cool. Really unique ability. You'll love to see it. It has a decent base stat of, like, a starter base stat, 508. But most of that's wasted in special attack. Like, this Pokemon's stats are actually, like, really, really frail. So, like, there's no real reason for Blaziken to be meta-defining or to build hype for Blaziken when things like Talonflame exist, they just lock it up. When things like Cinderace exist. Also, another reason why Blaziken was almost usable in past formats was because it had a Mega Evolution, and it was just barely okay at dealing with some things. Like, one Intimidate, this Pokemon's done. Like, in a Mega format, this Pokemon cannot keep up. Like, this, not a Mega format, in a Dynamax format, this Pokemon cannot keep up, right? If you're gonna take your Blaziken and go fight against like G-Max Lapras, yo, that's totally cool. Blaziken has super effective stab boost against that Lapras and won't be able to do anything against it. It just is not that great. We're gonna talk about Pokemon that are, I think it's getting like close combat and some other really cool like tutor moves and stuff like that in Sword and Shield. But I just wanted to let you guys know that, like, Blaziken, it's not going to be able to cut it in a meta where, like, Cinderace exists, where Talonflame exists, and it's been like that since, you know, there's always better things to run than Blaziken, unfortunately. Even, like, most people, like, I don't think we're getting it, but, like, why would you, or we already have Incineroar, but, like, Infernape, we're not getting Infernape, but, like, people usually would run Infernape over Blaziken in a lot of the older formats, because it has a higher base speed initially, so you don't need to run the Protect, but Infernape has a lot of, like, tech moves, like Encore, Fake Out, things like that, has just about the same attack and special attack spreads, and so a lot of people actually chose to go with the Infernape instead of the Blaziken back in the day. But most people, I think, are going to either be running the Incineroar or the Cinderace over the Blaziken slot. So that's just exactly what's going to happen. Or even a Talonflame. Landorus. And there is that new ability patch, right? So that's really cool. It means we're going to be able to get Sheer Force Landorus. I know Aaron Zhang is a fan of Sheer Force Landorus. So yeah, we're going to be able to get Sheer Force, which, again, isn't as good of an ability because Sheer Force doesn't work in max mode. So yeah, Sheer Force gives your attacks that have secondary effects like lowering Special D or burns or poisons a 1.3 power boost. So it's like really good on Lando because it's made to be using like Earth power. It's gonna say all this stuff. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be made to use like Earth power. This thing's used like Sludge Bomb, like Specs. Landorus Therian has been like really good in the past. Because that's a pretty decent speed stat, but like you can see where we're starting to go from here. There's a lot of different moves it can still get, and I think it's going to get even more moves coming in Crown Tundra. Like it's probably going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if it was able to get Hurricane. And like all these moves are really, really good with like Sheer Force. All the choice items are actually good on Lando, but like I think Specs, I've taken choice Specs Landorus back when it had to use Sand Force to a regional, and it was still really good. But you can see it has a really good speed stat. 101 is a super, super good number. And yeah, I think it has a decent attack stat, decent special attack stat. This guy's going to be super meta. I don't actually know why I'm talking about him first, because everyone's just going to use this Landorus. The Intimidate guy is back, and I just want to tell you guys, like, this Pokemon is not going to be as meta-defining as it has been in previous formats. If you're going to compare Landorus, right, what the effect Landorus will have on the meta to what a current Pokemon's effect on the meta is, it's pretty much just an Incineroar. It's like the effect that Incineroar has on today's meta, Landorus is going to have that much impact, if not more. One of the reasons why Landorus is even good is because it's a check to things like Incineroar. Landorus is pretty good. It's just that with the power creep, like let's talk about the last format Landorus was really, really used in. It saw a little bit of use in VGC 2019, but 2018 was the last format where it was really, really good. And maybe even, you know, 2018 was the last one where it was like really good. So yeah, people like used to run like Choice Scarf Landorus with like Rock Slide, Earthquake, U-Turn, things like that. And you know, in that format there were Megas, right? But there were not Dynamax things. Like if I were to lead literally like any Mon and just max and use like a Choice Scarf Lando or like literally any Landorus, Landorus just doesn't really bring that same level of damage to the table. Like they have the 145 attack's really good. 91 speed is a little bit subpar actually, and it's just really hard to make this guy work as this in the same role that people used to use him in. I feel like he's just gonna actually become more of like a support mon. Like I would not be surprised for us to see like more, you know, Landorus spreads that are looking like this. You know, I would not be surprised to see like, you know, more like vested bulky Landoruses, you know, stuff like that. I wouldn't really be surprised where you have like Rock Tomb, you have some speed control, and you just generally can like pivot with like U-turn and things like that. Just because there's not going to be as much bang for your buck on those big like Scarf Landos, Life Orb Landos, things like that. And also with Z-moves going down, like that single target Lando that was really good in 2018, it's just not any good. You say Dynamax Lando, but it's like, why would you Dynamax your Lando when you could Dynamax literally anything else? I've talked about this before. When you have the ability to Dynamax things, and you have one Pokemon that's relatively bulky that's not going to get KO'd, why would you Dynamax one when it's already not going to die, when you can just Dynamax the second one and have them both not die? That's where the Dynamax format's turning. I know it's a hard concept for a lot of people to get around, but when we talk about Dragonite, I'll have much better examples. But that's what the meta is going to become if Dynamax is going to continue to stay in the game. Especially the more Ubers, the more Legendaries we add, it's going to get to a point similar to how it was in the restricted formats when they just have 2 Ubers. Like, You know, you can try your best with your Butterfrees and your Salazzles and your Mineshaows and all your mid-level regular Pokemon, but when they have 2 Pokemon whose like just regular base stats and abilities make them miles better than everything else, they got nothing. There's no reason to go all in on one of them because they have 2 things that can't die, right? You say you're gonna Dynamax Beartic on this fool? The thing is, like, what happens if you get intimidated? You know, like, by the Landorus? The thing is, like, Landorus doesn't need to run Assault Vest Secret on Yachi Berry. You can get Fake Outed, and I would say, if I'm a Landorus player, and I'm forcing you to run Beartic, that's a win for me, because you have a bad Pokemon. Like, that's the thing, right? That's the thing about, you know, building your team like this. Like, a good Landorus player would want you to run Beartic, because they have the Incineroar right in the back to switch in, block the Ice Attack, get a second Intimidate, reset a Fake Out, and pin you with a Fire Attack. It's like, oh my gosh, you gotta watch out for those things. And so I really think that the way that Landorus used to be played with like the Choice Scarfs and the Pivoting and the Intimidate spam, that's not going to be as good. But I do think like a bulkier Landorus will start to see a little bit more play, and we're probably going to have like a tier list thing later. You can expect me to raise Landorus pretty high, but I'm not really a big fan of Landorus. I've top cut events with Landorus, but I just really feel that like, I really just feel that I like Garchomp more, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end. Garchomp actually brings a decent amount to the table. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel talking about the strengths of Garchomp and the strengths of Landorus, comparing them. You know, Garchomp is just a little bit weaker, but it's a lot faster. It's a lot bulkier, and it has like a different ability in Rough Skim, which can actually still be really used depending on how big Fake Out is in the format. There's a bunch of things that each of them bring to the table. Garchomp is a little bit more aggressive with its stabs. You know, Landorus they both have 4 times weakness to ice, but Garchomp being a ground dragon means it gets a secondary stab it can actually use without being like a max mode or something like that. What checks this now in this meta? People are just going to start spamming Icy Wind on everything. Description for Lando sounds like comparing Incineroar, Ultra Sun, and Moon to Switch, because they're the same Pokemon. That's what I talked about. They do the same thing. They come in, they intimidate, and then they U-turn. And then they come in and they intimidate again. But yeah, Landorus Cinderace is going to sound okay. With like a Gastro in the back. That sounds pretty good. So that's Landorus. Up next, we'll look at Naganadel. I think Naganadel is definitely worth looking at. Because it'll be legal, so you might as well look at it. I wish we didn't have to do all these like Ubers first. So look at Naganadel. I think this Pokemon's actually going to be really good. I've always thought that Naganadel was a Pokemon that's very underwhelming. Like, when Nagano was released in Ultra Sun and Moon, everyone thought, like, Nagano's going to break the game. It's going to beat all the Tapus. It's going to be the best thing ever. But the thing is, like, a lot of the Tapus run, like, choice items, right? Koko's just faster than this thing. You know, Lele's are Scarfed a lot of the time, especially in a format dominated by this thing. You know, Scarfed Nihilego's big. Kartana is, like, a massive check to this thing. And I do think Naganadel is really good. I think it's going to be very popular. I'm definitely excited to use Naganadel. But I think some things going to have to change for this guy to still, like, it's still paper. Yeah, you have to, like, sash it. In past formats, it did get access to Tailwind, so, like, if Move Tutors come back, who knows? If we can get Tailwind on this guy, that'd be super nice, I would say. But, yeah, Naganadel, like, I've tried it multiple times, and I really do think that there's just better options. Like, would you rather run a Naganadel? Let's talk about this. Would you rather run a Naganadel or a Dragapult? Like, I understand that big poison type and be able to pin those fairies. Like, I do understand that. But also, in a max mode situation, that's a weaker max move. Like, why would you ever need to max the Naganadel? Like, the Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave is the same base power, you know, unmaxed as its max version. So it's like, I just actually think that, like, Dragapult's a much better Pokemon. It has a much higher base speed tiering, isn't checked by as many Tapus. Ghost is a really good secondary stab that can still pin things like the Lele, still pin things like the Koko. You run a Nihilego? Oh, we're just comparing Dragon typings, though. Like, we're trying to say we already have this at home, right? We're trying to say we already have this at home. But Nihilego's another option, too. It's like, there's not really a reason to run the Naganadel when things like Dragapult and even the Nihilego do exist to an extent. We haven't talked about it yet, but, like, these two Pokemon existing really do, you know, put a pin in, like, Naganadel's, you know, potential for being, like, usable. Naganadel is such a cool looking mon, but it's so dang frail. I'd even run Dragalge over it. I wouldn't run Dragalge. They're very different. Because Dragalge only really goes in Trick Room, right? Use the grass, Tapu, and Kartana, easy win. The thing is, like, we'll talk about the Tapus, and you're wrong. Like, you can't just... Legendary, like, just running legendaries is not going to be enough. Like, case in point, Naganadel's worse than things that we already have, like Dragapult. That's actually going to be the case for a lot of the Pokemon. Dragapult's just a better Pokemon than like most of the things that are returning. Pheromosa! Pheromosa. Like Pheromosa. So I've actually run a lot of Pheromosa on here. I've probably gotten 200 or 300 CP with this Pokemon. It was my favorite Ultra Beast. It was my favorite Pokemon from Gen 7. I think this Pokemon's just amazing. I think this is probably the best Pokemon. Will you be able to run more than one Legendary? Yep, you can run 6 Legendaries if you want. This Pokemon's my favorite Pokemon from all of Gen 7. Look at that. Look at that attack and special attack stat. It can do everything. It can be physical. It can be special. It can be Sash, Life Orb, Specs, Banded, Scarfed. I've seen Scarf. This Pokemon's really good. I think this Pokemon is the full package. And if it was up to me, I'd use this Pokemon in every single team. I just think Pheromosa is really good. You can expect to see me use a lot of Pheromosa on this channel. And this is going to be one of those Pokemon that, like... So, like, I'm going to answer this question. Duskmain is not like a legendary. Duskmain is a restricted mon. So there's a difference between a legendary Pokemon and a restricted mon. Yes, restricted Pokemon are legendary, but restricted Pokemon, you can only run 1. They're restricted to 1 or 2, right? Depending on the format, right? So, depending on the format, like in 2019, you were able to use 2. In 2016, you were able to use 2. In the Battle of Legends, you're able to use 1. Pharaoh lost Z-moves, but it's getting close combat. Yeah, I don't think that, like, Pharaoh needed Z-move, though. Like, the only time you ran Z-move on Pharaoh was because you ran high jump kick and you didn't want to miss. You wanted one that was strong that you couldn't miss. Like, I'd argue that, like, a Life Orb close combat, people would just take that. Yeah, box covers are banned, yeah. But I think Pheromosa is really good, and I do think that even if Pheromosa is, like, not good, like, let's say Pheromosa just doesn't quite hit the mark, I will hit the mark with this Pokemon, and, it's one of those things that I just know that I'll be able to do well with it. I feel that people, like, Lele Mosa was a really popular core back in the past, and I feel that, like, yeah, Lele Mosa is usable, but I feel like there's just much better ways to run the Pheromosa. We don't know all the moves that things are getting yet, but I do think that this will be a Pokemon I'll be able to break off. I view Pheromosa in a very similar way to Inteleon. Let's actually compare both of them. We're going to start to see some similarities here. And remember, when I talked about Inteleon, I was able to pinpoint everything correctly at the start of the Sword and Shield when I talked about the usefulness of Inteleon. Let's compare them. High speed, high special attack, high attack. Pheromosa has like double those. Like, it has 31 more base speed, it has 12 more special attack, and it has like 50 more freaking attack, right? So if you guys think Inteleon is good, if you look at Inteleon, you're like, wow, that's a usable Pokemon. There you go, right? Pheromosa, so good. Like, so good. Just compare it, like, on paper. And you've seen the type of things we've done with Inteleon. Like, Inteleon's, yeah, it gets a max. Yeah, it can do a bunch of cool stuff, but it's not reliant on those things. A lot of the way people use Inteleon is, like, water attack, air slash for the airstream boost, and, like, a dark pulse. That's how we like to use it here with, like, a Life Orb. Pheromosa is literally that, like, on steroids with a higher base speed. Like, Pheromosa is so fast that, like, your opponent's mons, like, you know, your opponent's, like, what is it, Dracovish? Like, Dracovish ain't catching this thing. Like, it's not catching it. It's so good. Yo, thank you for the follow. Like, even in Tailwind, mons are getting under, like, Pheromosa is still outspeeding them when they have a Tailwind up. And I just think it's really, really good. Yo, I'm excited for the meta to change. We'll see. We'll see how much it changes. I do think that Pheromosa is a good Pokemon, though, and I'm very excited to use it. Like I said, I'm one of the few people to ever top cut events with Absol. I used Mega Absol. And I think Mega Absol is a really cool Pokemon, but if you just look at regular Absol, yeah, it's a fan favorite, but it doesn't actually bring a ton to the table. It's one of those Pokemon that really does suffer from having a mediocre speed stat. 130 base speed, or 130 base attack is huge, but that 75 is just not that hot. It gets so many good moves, too. I'm pretty sure it gets close combat. I know it had Superpower, Night Slash, Mega Horn, Play Rough. This thing gets a lot of really good moves in conjunction with, like, Taunt, Sucker Punch. I think it gets Encore now, but it's just doesn't ever really make sense. I'd like to see if maybe it gets bounced. Whoa, we just got like 10 gifted subs. Holy moly, Darth Fox gifted 10 subs. 10 subs. Holy moly, the subs going up. Darth Fox popping it off right now. Absolutely popping it off. You guys better say thank you to Darth Fox. Guys, I want to say Darth Fox has been absolutely killing it. Be the beacon of positivity. We're on a level 5 hype train. Holy moly. Guys, we need more subs. We gotta put some more subs up. I know you guys have those emotes because Darthbox just gave you guys all those subs. Guys, put some subs up in the chat. You had some wins up as well. Darthbox, what Pokemon are you most excited to see come back? I'm super interested. Yeah, absolutely. I have like 4 videos on my channel titled Absolutely. But man, that's so awesome, guys. Remember also that we have a Discord. And if you guys are subscribers now, because Darthbox and Tombrion just gifted you guys a ton of subs, be sure to go to Discord, link your Twitch and your Discord together, and you'll get access to a Twitch subscriber tab, which we're going to be using a lot more come Crown Tundra. Evolite Shelgon, I wish Shelgon got Dragon Tail. Shelgon not getting Dragon Tail is a crime. I would murder people with Evolite Shelgon. I just think it's weird they've added so many Pokemon with Megas that aren't particularly good. The thing is, it's like, Absol, everyone's excited for Absol regardless of if it got Mega. Because the people that like Absol don't like it because it has a Mega. Right? Does that make any sense? Like, people just like Absol because they like Absol. Like, a lot of the Pokemon that got Megas are also a lot of the Pokemon that are in, like, Pokken Tournament. And so it's not even that they're adding them because they got Megas. It's like they're adding them because they're in Pokken. Stuff like that, too. You know? We're making a Pokemon team. We might a little bit later. Pickle Juice dropping the sub with Prime for 15 months. Would you want Megas back? No, I would not. Should I make a video, should I make a video talking about, like, tiering the mechanics of Gems, Mega Evolution, Z-Moves, Dynamax? Like, I could make a video talking about, like, the order in which I would, like, rank them. Back in the day, I thought Absol was the 4th member of the Legendary Dogs because of the Jirachi movie. Yeah, Absol is awesome. Absol is one of my favorites. I've probably gotten about 6 or 7 top cuts with Absol, which like 3 or 4 of them led to CP. That's right. Quixotical's dropping the sub too. 8 months. Are we actually going to compete the hype train? Are we going to compete the hype train? What are gems? So like the normal gem, but they used to give a 1.5 boost and they used to have one for every single type. I think the Venn diagram of people who like Absol and people who like Sneasel is a circle. Very My Chemical Romance Pokemon. Well, I mean, so like, have you guys seen my DS that I used to take to regionals? So the DS used to take to regionals, right? It used to have like 15 lanyards on it, and it used a red 3DS XL that had My Chemical Romance stickers all over it, like everywhere, on the top, on the back, inside, outside, up, down, all around. And so that was definitely me. I'm actually a pretty big My Chemical Romance fan, believe it or not. But like, I'm like a hipster about it because like everyone likes My Chemical Romance for like the Black Parade, and like I actually really like their first album and their second album, and you know, some of their like new stuff that like a lot of people didn't get because like it wasn't really like published that well is okay too. Want to see Agron? Yeah, I'm definitely, Tom knows I'm definitely about My Chemical Romance. Aaron do a Snorlax Dusclops Elite, expecting Trick Room, but the Lax to use normal gem and self-destruct. Yep, that's definitely a popular core. We're never gonna get to talk about this Absol. Thank you guys so much. I can't have Darthbox, Tombrion. Yo, you guys are absolutely slaying it. Quicks, Pickle Juice. Yo, I can't believe you guys. Frost and Day, like everyone. I can't believe that support. I was hips before it was cool. I'm old enough to say that though. The thing is, Solarful, I see you keep talking about Metagross and Tyrantrum, but like the thing is, they're not slow enough. You have to work on Trick Room. You have to be like 40 base speed or lower, in my opinion. Also, you need to have the Trick Room up. Those two don't set Trick Room. Unfortunately, Metagross does not set Trick Room. Yo, what's good? We're talking about the returning Pokemon today. Delmise Virizion, that's unique. I have not seen any of those. What's happening? Not much. We're just talking about the returning Pokemon. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Absol, and I think without Megas, it just falls a little bit short. It falls a little bit short, and it's really cool. We're gonna use a ton of Absol because I like this Pokemon. But you don't expect this Pokemon to break into the meta. There's so many good Dark types already that, like, it's just unfortunate. Let's think of another, like, Dark type. Let's just look up Dark type Pokemon. Let's go. So let's sort it by Dark, and we'll just pick Pokemon that's better. It's like, why would you run Absol? You can run Incineroar. It's literally very similar. Similar attacks, similar speeds, but Intimidate, Fake Out. T-Tar's better. Urshifu. Yeah, why would you ever run an Absol in a meta that Urshifu exists? It's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. Grim. Yeah, another one. We really like Grim here too. Alright. So let's actually look at the next Pokemon. Next Pokemon is Aerodactyl. Yo, it is time. Alright. For those of you guys who don't know, I am the Aerodactyl Master Trainer. Alright, so a lot of you guys are new to this channel for Sword and Shield. But, you know, I've had this channel since like 2013, and through all of the 2019 year, I played Let's Go for a whole year. I streamed Let's Go 5 to 6 days a week. I uploaded a Let's Go video every single day from the release of Let's Go all the way to the release of Sword and Shield, right? And the best Pokemon in that game was Aerodactyl. Arguably. I think arguably Aerodactyl was the best Pokemon in that game. 130 base speed is amazing. 105 attack is usable. Like, it's really good abilities, too. Rockhead, Pressure, and a Nerve. All of them have their usefulness. I would say a Nerve is probably the best one. But I'm going to use a lot of Aerodactyl, and I don't think Aerodactyl is going to be that good. The only time Aerodactyl ever really saw play was when Mega Aerodactyl was around, because it's just a completely different Pokemon. It plays completely differently. But I do think Aerodactyl's a fun Pokemon to use. And if the meta gets really dominated by things like Whimsicott, Talonflame, Landorus, Tornadus, then you'll start seeing me use a lot of Aerodactyl, but I don't think that Aerodactyl is going to be, you know, meta-defining. One really cool thing about Aerodactyl that you can compare Aerodactyl to, like, so we talked about Blaziken, right? And we have Blaziken at home. We already have Cinderace. It's better. We talked about Absol, saying we already have Urshifu. A lot of the Pokemon like Nagano saying we already have Dragapult. Aerodactyl, there's no replacement for Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl, the closest thing you have for Aerodactyl is Crobat, right? And they're just completely different Pokemon. And the thing is, like, if everyone's running Crobat, if everyone's running Talonflame, if everyone's running Tornadus, like, Aerodactyl's the thing that beats those, because it's a rock type. So, Aerodactyl is, what's really good about it is it's the only Pokemon that can really do what it does. Believe it or not, so, like, Crobat is a 130, Tapu Koko is a 130. 130 is actually a really important speed tiering. Jolteon's a 130. There's a lot of Pokemon who you're starting to see your 130 base speeds, and it's going to be the, like, right now, everyone's, like, trying to outspeed Dragapults, but being able to outspeed 130s is going to be really, really important for your EVs come Crown Tundra. And so, Aerodactyl being a 130, other than Crobat, it's the only 130, I believe, in the game that gets Taunt. So it's actually really, really important. So, like, if you want to run a Crobat, but you want a little bit more aggressive Crobat, Aerodactyl's your option right there. So I'm really, really excited for Aerodactyl. And I think Aerodactyl also has decent potential to be a really good Maximon. Like a self-policy procking Aerodactyl with Airstream. If you get one Airstream, it's kind of like setting a Tailwind because they won't be able to catch you. So I really do think that Aerodactyl is going to be a Pokemon that we use a lot because it's one of my favorites. But I don't necessarily to be meta-defining. Aerodactyl's always kind of sat in a anti-meta situation. Aero gets D-Dance? I don't know if I'd use D-Dance. Auroras will be good. It won't be good, but we'll talk about it. Agron. Agron's a really cool Pokemon. You guys are right. All the Megas are coming back. Alright, so Agron right here. Without Mega, he's really underwhelming. But it's a Pokemon that we've actually used in the past on this channel. Mega Agron, like I said, was one of my metas or Megas that I liked a lot more. But being able to get sturdy, I think every single time a Pokemon does get sturdy, it's definitely usable in certain situations. Let's compare Agron to another Pokemon that we already have. Steelix, right? So Steelix is a Pokemon that we've actually used on this channel. Steelix actually isn't terrible. Like, Steelix is just not a terrible Pokemon. It's really slow, so it works in TR. It gets, like, Iron Defense. It gets Body Press. You know, that's kind of how you're going to play the Steelix. It gets, like, Protect. It gets Wide Guard. So, like, that's how you want to play Steelix. And Steelix is actually a pretty decent Pokemon. Again, it also gets that Sturdy ability, so you can, you know, always live an attack and just always have a decent Pokemon. Note that Steelix is a Steel Ground, but other than that, like, this is kind of how you play Steelix. Agron can do the same thing, I'm sure. Has a little bit less defense, but it has like 110 base attack, which is a lot more than the Steelix. Like, Agron has a lot more going for it. I'm pretty sure Agron, it's not going to say it here, but Agron's probably going to be able to get Metal Burst as well, which is a really, really cool move. Doesn't even show it. It's pretty much like a counter and Mirror Coat packed in one. Instead of dealing double damage, it does a 1.5. And that's personally my favorite way to run Agron. Do I think Agron's going to be like meta-defining? No. But I do think it's going to be an option for anyone that would already be trying to run like Steelix. Endeavor Sturdy Groudon, well, Metal Burst is a little bit better option because it just gets the big KO right there. Also note that Metal Burst, different to like Counter and Mirror Coat, goes based off your speed tiering. So like, let's say, you know, they're slower than like a 50. You will hit that, like, so like if you don't have to go last, right? Which is actually sometimes really, really nice. It's sometimes really nice. But Metal Burst is really, really good. Like, Metal Burst, we've used, the coolest Metal Burst user we ever used, but it was in 2016. I've actually been wanting to use this for a while in this format as well, but it's Sableye. Sableye is by far and away the best Metal Burst user. Shoutouts to anyone that knows. Yeah, Returns 1.5. It's an egg move. You have to breed it with like weird stuff. But like, we used this in 2016 with like a sash. Oh my gosh, we picked up so many kills on Xerneas. Like this is the funniest Xerneas check ever. You just go fake out, or sorry, not fake out. You have focus sash, and you let them set up everything they could possibly want, and then they go into you and you just metal burst them and you win the game. It's so good. I love it. And again, it doesn't go. It goes off Sableye own speed tiering, which is really nice. But yeah, Agron's okay. Rockhead Agron with like a band and like recoil moves too. Might be alright. It's also a rock steel, so like it does stab the head smash. I'll give Agron its fair shot. Metal Burst Zamazenta. Maybe. Altaria. Altaria is actually a nice Pokemon. I would say Altaria is probably the most popular Cloud9 user. Other popular Cloud9 users, let's just list them as are Licky. So these are what Altaria is actually competing with to even see a spot in play, and Golduck. So like these are the big Cloud9 users. I remember, guys, Cloud9 is an ability that says when this Pokemon is active, the effects of weather are negated. Weather's not going to be super, super big in Crown Tundra, in my opinion. So I don't think that means Altaria is going to be good. The good thing Altaria has over these two is that it's a flying type, right? Altaria is a flying type, so you can pair it next to like an Earthquake user and just absolutely dumpster people. I think another Pokemon that really complements Altaria's playstyle is Heatran. So like the things that Heatran is weak against: water attacks, ground attacks, fighting attacks. Altaria is able to mitigate and block, and vice versa. Altaria is weak against like ice attacks, dragon attacks, fairy attacks. Rock being neutral, but neutral against Heatran. But Heatran, for the most part, really does cover Altaria very well, and it just makes a really, really defensive core. I don't really think Altaria is going to be meta defining, but I will think if any team does need a Cloud9 user, Altaria is probably going to be the first Pokemon that they look at. I just think that Dragon Flying is just really niche typing, has good enough specialty, good enough speed. It gets setup moves you have to respect. Like if someone sends it on Altaria, even if it's on like a Cloud9 team, like you have to respect its ability to set up. It gets Dragon Dance. It can potentially steamroll the game from. You have to check it early. I think it also gets access to like Thunder Wave and stuff. We're not going to be able to see any of that stuff, but it gets access to like Crippling and other really good status moves. Usually gets Roost. Might be able to get Tailwind as well, but I think Altaria definitely has a spot. So like I'll probably use Altaria. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. It might actually be a really decent Maximon too. Very similar to the way someone would use Goodra, just because Goodra has that, it's a dragon type with like big special D. It might be able to be a really bulky like vested or weakness policy Maximon. Yeah, Altaria got Cotton Guard Roost, yeah. Does Altaria get Perish Song? I think it does get Perish Song, but I don't remember. I do not remember. Let's talk about a Pokemon that's busted. Archeops. How do I even spell this thing? Archeops. There it is. Our boy. I actually took this to one event in 2019, and I bubbled, but I used Banded on this thing. Now this thing, you're looking at these stats, and you're like, whoa, that's pretty bonkers. That's pretty bonkers. 110 base speed, 112 special attack, 140 attack, that's crazy. It has an ability called the Fetus, right, that you can't get rid of unless you're using Galarian Weezing. While this Pokemon is half or less of its max HP, its attack and special attack are halved. So I really do think that the best way to run this thing is to just straight up put a band on it, because it's already fast enough. You just put the choice band on it, and it makes it so even when your attack is halved, right? Even when it's halved, you're still like stronger than everything else, and you're able to one-shot like everything. This is the type of Pokemon that like, cool, you Dynamax your Dragapult. How about I'm gonna one-shot you? Like this thing is like straight up. Like let's compare it to something that we already have. You're starting to see similarities here. They're the same Pokemon, but one has a 110 base speed. They both have 140. They're both going to have bands because this thing has Guerrilla Tactics. This guy has to run a Scarf. This guy has to run a band. He doesn't have to run a band, but he probably should. So, like, I really do feel that, like, Archeops is, like, a Galarian Darmanitan that has, like, different stabs. And I really do think it's going to be really good. I don't think that, like, Weezing is going to be worth running on this thing. I just don't think it's worth running Weezing. A lot of the times when you see me run Weezing, so I should probably just tell you guys how Weezing works. Because a lot of people are like, I can't wait to use Regigigas in Weezing, or like Slacking in Weezing, or the same people that wanted to run like Weezing with all the other Pokemon in this format. I'm gonna tell you guys one time. You do not run Weezing to turn off your own abilities. That is not why that Pokemon was made. You do not run Weezing to enable a Regigigas or to enable a Slacking or anything like that. You run Weezing to turn off their abilities. That is what it's for. That's the only way that you're going to use it. Take it from someone that's made so many teams that have won literally thousands of games by hundreds of players all over the world. Like, Weezing is there to turn off their abilities. When you use Weezing, yeah, you might want to use Pokemon who aren't reliant on their abilities, but you do not want to use things that are useless because of their ability, right? It's not how it works. Because like Dragapult Weezing works really well because Dragapult is not a Pokemon reliant on its ability. Hopefully you guys get that. I have to see that comment literally 100 times a day sometimes. It's ridiculous. Like, I can't wait to run Weezing Regigigas. I'm gonna break the meta. It's like you don't got speed control, you don't got fake out, you're susceptible to getting intimidated if they can take the Weezing out, and it's like, no. I just gotta tell you guys how it is. Weezing Archeops is not gonna be the really good thing. If Weezing goes down, you're done. Yeah, and the thing is, it requires the Weezing to always be on the board. Weezing doesn't get ally switch. Like, literally, they can just attack your Weezing because the moment the Weezing loses, the Regigigas restarts its slow start, or the Archeops gains its defeatus. Like, literally, they can double into your Weezing, even if the Weezing goes for a protect bait, or like, literally anything, and maybe they even get a KO on your team. It's cool. I'm gonna double into the Weezing again, and once the Weezing's gone, your team's useless. So, hopefully I showed you guys the light. I don't mean to be so harsh. But, yeah. Slacking Weezing. Slacking Weezing sounds like a bad exercising experience. Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, his slow start would restart. So, like, it's really bad. Oh, man, we're never going to get through this list. Oh, my gosh. We're like 4 Pokemon in. Oh, my gosh. Alright, it's fine. Armando. Alright. I have this thing in Pokemon Go. It's a flawless. It's like 3 stars all the way across the board. Alright, let's go. So Armando, what does this guy bring to the table? Battle Armor, get Swift Swim. Swift Swim's nice. I don't know if it gets Shell Smash. I don't know if it gets Shell Smash. But Pokemon's okay. I've always thought Armando was okay because it's a rock bug. A lot of people think Armando is water because it gets Swift Swim and it's blue. But it's actually a pretty decent Pokemon. I have nothing really bad to say about it. I don't think it's going to break the meta. I think this thing's best set is probably going to be a weird policy set. I could see this thing totally working with like policy. I don't know how you like an Aqua Jet type policy play where like this thing is like in a trick room with like a self policy procking like Aqua Jet type thing. That's the best way that I think this thing's going to see play because it's still really bulky and like I'm sure it's going to get like an Iron Head or Iron Tail. It's probably going to get a potential to go for a Max Quake and all the Pokemon. It's going to be very similar to Rhyperior, right? Let's look at these at Rhyperior. So, like, they're very, very similar. Rhyperior's a little bit slower, so Rhyperior's still going to be a little bit better. But, like, they're going to be using the same way, I would say. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Armando's just kind of okay. Support Regigigas for life, I feel it. What's Tornadus' speed? I think it's 101. I could be wrong. Articuno. I don't know if I should talk about Articuno. Because, like, I'm not going to talk about Articuno. We'll save that for another video. We'll save that for all of the legendary birds. They'll be their own video. Just because I want to talk about like all of them at once. Because certain legendary birds are going to be better than their Galarian forms. Talking about Adino. I think Adino's a cool Pokemon. It's the Pokemon that just gives a ton of HP. Yo, thank you for the follow. It gives a ton of XP whenever you KO it. I don't think Adino's that good. The best thing that Adino has going for it is that it's a really niche Trick Room setter, and it's being only normal type. And you gotta respect the Adino. It was much better when it had access to like a Mega Evolution, which was actually a pretty good Pokemon. But overall, I think it's kind of just like a Chansey that can set Trick Room. And it doesn't have like the ability to have like an Eviolite boost, so it's just kind of okay. But you do kind of have to respect it when they go into Team Preview, just because you have to bring something that has enough damage to one-shot it, which can be hard, but with the addition of Max moves, it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, it gets Trick Room. Yep, see? There you go. You gotta respect it. Alright, the Pokemon everyone wants to see. Auroras. I've seen a lot of people talking about Auroras today. We're just going to pull up like a bunch of different Pokemon, and we're going to talk about Auroras. I actually want to see. Because like, oh, it's Snowcloak. I thought it was the other one. That's fine. Alright. So, yeah, Auroras. What does Auroras have going for it? gets access to Snow Warning, similar to Ninetales. Ninetales gets access to Snow Warning, and Abomasnow gets Snow Warning as well. So it sets Hail upon getting on the board. I've used this Pokemon in the past. I like it. It's 99 special attack, so it is the highest special attacking weather setter for Hail. It has the highest base HP. It has the lowest base speed, so it's technically the best one for like Hail Trick Room. I think the only reason this Pokemon hasn't really been that good in previous formats is just because it has a 4 times weakness to like Fighting and Steel. And if you take a look at Fighting and Steel, they're like the 2 types that have like priority moves. So like Bullet Punch and Mach Punch kind of just end this thing real quick. So you have to play Auroras with a Lele or like a Serena. You have to play it with those things. And sometimes like that can still be good, but like more often than not, having to dictate 2 slots just to run 1 Pokemon. Like if I'm going to be running Auroras and a Serena just so I don't die, I'm just going to use an Abomasnow instead, because that's fusing the 2 Pokemon. That's fusing the Ice types and the Grass types into 1 slot. And it's still about the same. It's still about the same. It's losing like 7 special attack and it's gaining 2 speed. In some situations, gaining the 2 speed and actually being able to compete with other base 60s is really nice. I think Auroras is really cool. I've used Auroras in previous formats. I used Auroras a decent amount in 2015. Like, I like the thing. It was a great... I used Weakness Policy Auroras, and I think Weakness Policy Auroras is probably going to be its best set. The way that I see this thing being used is in Trick Room with Bulldoze. So, like, you're going to go Auroras Dusclops, go Protect TR, Bulldoze, Self-Proc, go for those +2 Blizzards and things like that. I think it's a usable Pokemon, definitely, because, like, AoE is going to be premium in this format. But I do think that overall Abomasnow is a better option, and then Ninetales above that. But it's a cool Pokemon. What does it look like shiny? That looks pretty cool. I like Auroras. Like, there are YouTube videos of me using Auroras, and I think it's just going to be really cool. It's not even that it has those 4 times weaknesses. It's that, like, it has a really shallow move pool, too. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe it has to get some really good moves to, like, change my opinion of it being, like, meta-defining. But as an anti-meta pick, as, like, something you could just get to Master Ball with, you can definitely use that with Auroras. It gets, let's go to Auroras, too. I should actually talk about this Pokemon correctly. Because, like, it does get... I'm gonna be realistic. Yeah, I'm talking about Snow Warning. I should actually talk about Refrigerate. Its Pokemon normal type moves becomes Ice and have 1.2. Because that was what it used to be used for. It does get Freeze Dry. I know it's going to say illegal here. It does get Freeze Dry, which is really nice. But then, like, people would run it with, like Hyper Beam and things like that. And they'd run it... I think it got... I don't know if it got Hyper Voice, but that'd be kind of dope. But, yeah, being able to get Refrigerate, that's what a lot of people use it for. So, we'll see. Maybe that has some strats, some potential. But I think Snow Warning is probably how most people would run it. Azelf. Yo, it's time. It's time for the boy. Alright. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee. All this talking. This is a lot of talking, by the way. Okay. I have a question. Show of hands. How many people have used Absol in a Pokemon VGC tournament? Or like ladder. How many of you guys have actually ever built a team with an Azelf in it? I don't know if I said Absol, but with an Azelf. You're going over every non-restricted mon. Yep. How many of you guys have used Azelf? Azelf any player up? I'm down. Because, like, only in singles. Yeah, it's a singles, right? It's single. It's a Pokemon that's so good. In Gen 4, this was the best lead in Gen 4. 115 base speed, 125 base special attacks and attacks. This Pokemon's very similar to something we already covered. They're very similar, right? I feel that, like, Azelf is really just Pheromosa is just a speed crept, like a power crept Azelf. They're very, very similar. I love both of these Pokemon, by the way. These two are probably within my top 10 list of, like, Pokemon. If I were to make a top 10 list, these two would probably both be in it. But the very first doubles game tournament I ever played, I used a team built around Azelf because it was in Gen 4. We were playing a really weird type of format because Gen 4, for those who don't know, like the 2009 format, was technically a restricted format, but we used no restricteds. So we pretty much played Smogon OU doubles. But I got to the finals and I actually fought against Dewey Hobb, which is one of the official, like, casters for Pokemon now. And I was using a team built around Azelf. I used an explosion team. I think Azelf just actually has a lot of tools. The really unfortunate thing about Azelf is that it can't make use of terrains. I think that's actually really unfortunate because like Azelf with like Psychic Terrain would have done a lot of damage. Azelf with the ability to not get put asleep by Electric Terrain. Its ability Levitate actually in doubles, in my opinion, is a hindrance because I feel that like Azelf has the tools to be able to really be good, but like you can spore it if even if those Electric Terrain. It can't use a Psychic Terrain because it's not grounded. And so I've love Azelf. It's one of my absolute favorite Pokemon, but something's going to have to get done for this guy. Like, someone's going to have to make a dope team with Azelf just so we can get this guy some use. Like, I think if I were to rate this guy in, like, a tier list, he'd be, like, mid-tier. But it's so criminally underrated in, like, a mid-tier because this Pokemon has the stats. It has it. It has everything it needs. And a list of moves this thing gets is, like, absolutely ridiculous. This Pokemon can do literally anything. It's a fast taunt. It can, like, for those people that want to, like, Meowsticks and go for, like, fast, like, Sunny Days, Rain Dances, Azelf is that Pokemon. This Pokemon is like the freaking... It's just so good for EQs with Garchomp. But the thing is, it's like... Does it get in prison? I think it's in Prison Trick Room. This is my new guy. This is my new guy if it gets in Prison Trick Room. But, like, I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. OU. Can I say it in there? Alright, cool. In prison. Yes! Oh! Glad I caught you live for the first time seeing you live. Normally I watch YouTube videos. Yo, we're here. Use Wheezing? Yo, I feel it. I might. Alright, this is my new Imprison Trick Room user. I'm gonna go Sash, Imprison Trick Room, and then like freaking Heat Wave. Or, well, not Heat Wave. Freaking like Psy Shot or Expanding Force. I don't even fucking know. It doesn't get it. It'll get Expanding Force. Freaking Fire Blast. Psy Shock. Fuck, murder everyone. Gets Ally. This thing gets everything. This is it. I'm ready. Defiant Azelf? Is that its hidden ability? Doesn't say that. Oh, to get hidden ability. Sorry. That'd be busted. Wasn't Uxie also a highly Mon in Gen 4? It was okay, but like Cresselia was better than Uxie. Cresselia was much better than Uxie. Cephalon. Cephalon. Cool Pokemon that we're going to talk about now. Not Imported. Cool. So we're looking at Cephalon. Pokemon's actually really good. For people that think Cephalon's not good, you're wrong. Cephalon is like the Pokemon that goes in Sun teams. Now, like, Cephalon gets a 151 special attack. You don't even use it for Mind Blowing. You just put a choice item on it. Choice Carver, choice Specs. Those Heat Waves hit hard. Those Heat Waves hit really hard. This Pokemon's strong. Gets Beast Boost too. So like after you KO something, you get a special attack boost. Most people like to use Scarf sets with like Shadow Ball, Heat Wave. I think they have like one other pinch move and then maybe like Trick. Yeah. Mind Blow Max Fairs. I don't think that people are going to use Mind Blown though. I really don't. Because like I actually think there's going to be a lot more priority in this format. I think there's going to be a lot more like E-Speeds. Not because versus Cephalon, but like Sucker Punches. Like Sucker Punch. Like if Cephalon gets too big, everyone's just going to attack Sucker Punch. Lele Cephalon was a really common core. I think Cephalon's definitely like usable. I would put this Pokemon in like an A tier, just because it's a legendary that can get it's a steamroll Pokemon that like if you want to lead like Trick Room, right? This would dumpster their Dusclops, and even against their Porygon, like a Max Flare into their Porygon would just melt it, right? You know, like if you have like Cephalon and like literally any other Mon, one really good thing about Cephalon also is that it's a Ghost type. So like I can totally not be afraid of Fake Out, which means if I lead Cephalon and literally anything else, I can max the anything else, and Cephalon still has a lot of enough damage to still be able to do big damage to their Trick Room setter with like spread moves. So I can go like Dracozolt, Cephalon, and go huge Heat Wave. They can't figure out the Cephalon. They can't figure out the Dracozolt because I'm going to max it and then like max Lightning into the Porygon. So I'll be able to nuke their setter before they can get anything done. So it's really aggressive. This Pokemon is a really good Pokemon on like hyper-aggressive teams. It's a little bit weak to like Dracovish spam. But, like, who knows? Sash Cephalon might actually come back and see play again, too. So, really good Pokemon. Buzzwole. Buzzwole's a good Pokemon. Alright. I always do that. Buzzwole. I like Buzzwole. I use Mind Blow similar to Hyper Beam. Yeah, like you have it. You just have it. Yeah. I think just having it will be on the thing. Getting Solar Beam in Gen 8 is an underrated buff. I agree. That's nice. I didn't know that it got it. Will Legendary Mons be illegal from the day of Season 7? I actually think that they will. like Buzzwole is a good example of a Pokemon that's a legendary, but not a restricted. I think Buzzwole's, people like Buzzwole, but I don't think his Pokemon's any good. Yo, it's me, Eevee. Yo, close enough. Thank you for the follow. Buzzwole's a Pokemon that a lot of people like. I know, like, Wolf Glick is a huge fan of Buzzwole. I've just never really been a fan. Let's compare it to a couple other Pokemon that we already have. I think Conkeldurr brings a lot to the table. And I think that, like, first of all, Conkeldurr has more attack, only a little bit. It has, like, less HP, you know, way less defense. It has a little bit more speed. It has a little more specialty, but a lot less speed. I just think Buzzwole, it's good, right? It is a good Pokemon, but it's like, this Pokemon's always let me down. It's always let me down. It has a 4 times weakness to flying. So, like, Braviaries, Talonflames, there's so many Pokemon that can pin it. I still think it's going to be totally used. I think this Pokemon's going to be everywhere. But I've always just been a little bit on the fence about running it. It's just never been my cup of tea. And, like, I don't like using Conkeldurr either, but I'd rather use a Conkeldurr. A Pokemon that I'd rather use over both these is Hitmontop. And you actually see that on a lot of teams. Buzzwole was, like, really cool. At the start of the 2017 format, everyone was running it. And by the end of the year, you started to see a lot more Hitmontop. Because it's similar enough in those stats. It actually, the things that started to beat the Buzzwole, like those big fairy attacks, because it has a weakness to, like, Dazzling Gleams and things like that, with that abysmal special D stat. Hitmontop and Conkeldurr could wide guard those away. Hitmontop in particular has a much higher base special D, so we were fine. And then Hitmontop comes with a fake out. And so people started to run a little bit more Hitmontop. But Buzzwole is really good in a format that's dominated by Porygons. And so if Porygon's going to be really big, Porygon 2 in particular, Buzzwole will be meta. I think Buzzwole's pretty good. But like Tapu's coming back. The prevalence of Psyspam, especially with Psyspam getting expanding force, it's pretty nutty. Like Buzzwole's not going to be in for a good time if it's going to be, you know, used at all. I feel like a lot of the fire types in Sword and Shield won't be as effective. The fire types aren't usually as effective. If you're running Sun, if you're running like fire types, you're all in. Like, you are all in. What you're telling your opponent is that I'm not playing a real VGC game. You're rolling the dice. Yeah, you're not letting your skills decide if you're playing Sun. You're not. That's just that. Unfortunately, you know, you're trying to get a quick win. You're not trying to out VGC them. You're trying to pull a fast one if you're playing Sun. Carbine's a rare Pokemon. Another Pokemon similar to Adino that you have to respect, because I'm pretty sure Carbine gets Trick Room. I should just use this up here for OU. I should just look at him up here. Carbine. So Carbine's really good with Chansey. Yeah, Carbine gets Trick Room. A lot of people don't know that. It also gets the power swap. What's that move that it gets? That I'm trying to remember the move that it gets that lets it work with Chansey. Someone will help me out here. Sturdy, Trick Room. Yeah. Guard Split. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So, like, people like to use this with, like, Chanseys. It averages defense and special defense stats with the target. And so, like, it makes, like, a Chansey, like, unkillable. But Carbine's a pretty good Pokemon. Another Pokemon that gets sturdy. Pokemon that get sturdy are always usable. So Carbine's a really gimmicky Pokemon that you just have to respect it. It's really weird. It's just a really weird one. I've never really been a fan. I always thought this thing evolved into a Diancie, but it obviously doesn't. Yeah, I've never really used one. But you do have to respect it. Anytime it's on the team, you know someone's trying to pull a fast one on you. Alright. Carracosta. Yo. So, this is a Pokemon that I actually do like a lot. I said stories of the first ever VGC tournament-esque thing I went to. That was in like 2009, 2010. And that was using Gen 4 that I used Azelf with. But the very first, like by the time I actually figured out what VGC was, it was after that tournament that I used the Azelf with. I looked up things about VGC, I went to all the websites, looked up all the rules, and then they came out with Gen 5. The very first online competition I ever used in VGC was in Gen 5, using, it was a limited dex, so you had a restricted dex, so you could only use Pokemon from the Gen 5 dex. And the team that I used a Carracosta with Sturdy, and I used a Crustle. And this was my lead, and I dumpster people. I placed really well in that tournament. Both of them have Sturdy. Both of them get Shell Smash. So turn 1, every single time, I'd lead Carracosta Crustle, and I would just double Shell Smash in their face. And this was in like 2011, right? This was in 2011 in VGC. They'd lead off with like a Mind Shout and like a freaking like a Blitzel or whatever that thing is called, like a Zebstrika, and I would just double Shell Smash in their face. And then after that, I would just double Rock Slide in their face. And I messed people up. I messed a lot of people up. So I like this Pokemon. Like this is a lead that I still like today. So I'm happy that it's back. So the way that I had the names for them too, they had names. Where's the yeah? So this guy was named Cake because he looks like a cake, right? And then this was, I didn't know how to pronounce that, and I didn't really care, so I just called him Cake's bro. So it's Cake and Cake's bro, and you just dumpster everybody. I still call these Pokemon Cake and Cake's bro, because they're friends. And it was a lot of fun. You had Wide Guard on. I had like Wide Guard and Aqua Jet. I had a Lumberry on one, and I think I had Lefties on the other, just in case I was fake outed. I think I had Lefties on this one. Really cool team though. I did like it a lot, and I'm excited for this guy to come back. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. You get Swift Swim too. You get Swift Swim, Sturdy. Good Pokemon. Pretty decent stats, by the way, too. It's actually really good in Trick Room. So yeah, I like both of these Pokemon, and I'm really excited to be able to use both of them again. Like I said, that was the very first like VGC tournament I ever went to. Yep, Schmitty gifting a sub. Yo, 55 gifts for Schmitty total. Can we put some subs up? Thank you so much, Schmitty. Serving some cake. It was serving some wins. I think I didn't lose my first game in like the 1700s. I won like every single game. Could be fun Dynamax Pokemon. I agree. Oh my gosh, are we really gonna do this? Oh my goodness, it's time. So, remember when we started off this list and I said, we have X Pokemon at home. I compared Blaziken to Cinderace, Nagano to Dragapult. I compared Absol to Urshifu, saying we already have good Pokemon. You do not need to run this bad new thing, because we already have a better version of it in the decks. Celesteela is going to be a Pokemon that, because Celesteela exists, because it just exists in the game, it's going to cut out like 50% of the decks. Like, it's going to invalidate it. It's going to be like, oh, you can't run Mineshow. Celesteela exists. Stuff like that. So, like, anytime you want to start using a really cool team, oh, you can't run that Pokemon. Celesteela exists. It's a Flying Steel, so it's the same typing as Skarmory. The stat line is nutty, which means it can get a boost. It can get a boost from its Beast Boost ability. Remember, after it gets a KO, it gets a boost to its highest stat to every one of those. Even the speed one. It's so dumb. Yeah, you want to run Corviknight? Why would you run Corviknight? Just run Celesteela. It's so dumb. This thing uses like lefties, vests, orbs. This thing can literally do anything. Like, if you want to actually just be a super sweaty tryhard player and you want to always win, just toss the Steel on your team. You win. I guarantee you that Celesteela is the type of Pokemon that can 1v4 in almost every situation. Celesteela is going to get Cosmic Power. That's pretty nutty. Celesteela's biggest flaw is that it doesn't get a recovery move, but it does get the stupidest move ever that they would ever put on this thing is Leech Seed. It gets Leech Seed. So you just Leech Seed leftovers, pop Protect. It gets this thing gets Flamethrower too. Like, other Steel types can't check it. Like, why would they ever run Corviknight? It probably gets Body Press too. Freaking probably. Pokemon's just dumb. This Pokemon is just legit stupid. It doesn't need to exist. This Pokemon is super S tier. It gets like Wide Guard. This thing gets like everything. This thing literally gets everything. Except for Roost. That'd be so dumb. Yeah, it's Pharaoh and Skarmory's child. Yep. This Pokemon just invalidates so many things. It gets Grassy Glide. Yo. That's funny. Yeah, Celesteela's pretty dumb. But that's the game that we play. Like, a lot of the times when you would see me use a lot of my teams from 2017, a lot of times I run like 4 or 5 really joke picks, and then I would just toss a Steel on there, and then I'd be able to just use the Steel after we were losing to just still win the game. So I'd like goof around half the game, and then I'd be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna win now. And then I'd send up my like Vested Steel, and I would just win the game. Vested Steel is probably my favorite set with like heavy HP specialty build. And what's really cool about that is like, so you're vested, right? They'd have their Tapu Koko, and they'd have their Specs Tapu Koko Thunderbolt your Steela in the terrain for like 40%. It's like, no. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And then you just one-shot him with a heavy slam off of like no investment in attack. It's just so nutty how good this Pokemon is. And this Pokemon is a perfect example of power creep. Like, when people say like legendaries make the game dumb, this is an extreme example of that. Normally I would say that legendaries don't make the game dumb, but this Pokemon exists and just invalidates so many really cool Pokemon from existing. Like Butterfree. I mean, I'm not going to be able to use Butterfree nearly as much just because this thing exists, and that makes me sad. Dynamax invalidates Heavy Slam. It gets Iron Head. Credilli. This is a good Pokemon. Finally, we can talk about some good stuff. Some fun stuff. A lot of people haven't really seen this thing yet. This thing is the counter to Gastrodon. It's another Storm Drain user, but this one's a Grass Rock type. And actually, I think Credilli is probably one of my favorite. I don't think it gets Leech Seed, right? Yeah. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. I use this thing a lot. I just like it. It's really, really cool. It gets access to like Giga Drains, access to Ancient Powers, really good dual stabs. Can play the long game. It gets Recover. It gets you know, the potential to like boost its defensive stats. I think it's like Stockpile. Yep. So it's a really cool Pokemon. I like it a lot. I'm excited to use it. Really good stat line. Good enough in Trick Room. It might actually even be able to be a like decent weakness policy user if used correctly. Its weakness are so meh. No, I like this Pokemon. Does get Leech Seed. Does it? Does it get Leech Seed? Was that bad? I don't know. I don't think it got it. I don't think it got Leech Seed. But like, it's a cool Pokemon. I like it a lot. I've always liked this Pokemon. And it's shiny, it's funny, it's pink. Yeah. I've always liked this thing. It's always been one of my favorites. I don't really know why. I used it a lot in Gen 4. But getting access to Storm Drain and being a grass type means not only does it take the attacks from the water Pokemon, it then has like super effective grass attacks to be able to slam back. So it's similar to Gastrodon, but like when Gastrodon's like a bubble. When Gastrodon gets really usable, you start to see a lot of people run Gastrodon, and then people run Gastrodon, check their Gastrodons, and then everyone starts teching like energy balls and stuff, and you just get a meta where like grass is like really, really popular. We have a similar thing going on with like Primarinas right now. Primarinas is really popular. A lot of people are teching on like energy ball to a lot of other things to, you know, check those Primarinas with those max moves. Credilli's a little bit different, where like everyone starts running Gastrodon. Gastrodon's really big, and then like one person runs Credilli, and like every single Gastrodon player just like breaks their crayons and shuts down. I also think Credilli is pretty decent against Incineroar. Has a decent base defense, so the Flare Blitz, which is neutral damage, doesn't do a ton. And you have that super effective Ancient Power, which is like really, really good. So I like Credilli as like a pseudo Incineroar check. It's also really good versus like Talonflames. It's really good versus Crobats in the right situations. Like I just think this is a pretty good Pokemon for playing like a little bit of a longer game. And it's just definitely one of my favorites. Do I think it's going to be meta-defining? Probably not. Sandstorm proof. Yep, it gets that specialty boost from Sandstorm. Yeah, I like Credilli. It's good. We were talking about Celesteela. We're going to talk about another Pokemon that kind of invalidates a lot of other Pokemon's existence. That's Cresselia. Legendaries be legendaries. You know what I mean? There's no reason to run a Trick Room setter that's not this one. Look at those stats. 120, 120, 130. Decent enough speed, too. Like, there's seriously, this is the best Trick Room setter in the history of the game. It's not going to change. This Pokemon has enough special attack to still be usable too. This thing is absurd. Cresselia's gone down in usage over the years. I will tell you that you're right. But whenever someone needs to win, what Pokemon do they use? What Pokemon always appears at Worlds or appears at Nationals or appears at Regionals even after not being used all season? It's this one. It's this one. This is the safest Trick Room. This is the beat all end all de facto best thing. Cresselia. This is it. One Pokemon that's going to make Cresselia harder to use is Urshifu. But Cresselia gets like Moonblast, and you can just put a Dark Reduce Berry on it. Everyone's like, Urshifu, I'm just going to beat it. It's like, no, you're not. Urshifu can be redirected to, like, you know, people are just going to start cutting the, they're just going to start cutting the Psyshock or Psychic they run on this thing for a Moonblast. Now, I just think Cresselia is busted. Cresselia is absolutely amazing. Cosmic Power, Stored Power. I don't think I'll use those. Like, it gets Moonblast, it gets Icy Wind, it gets a lot of really good moves, it gets Thunder Wave. Really good Pokemon. Every team should have Cresselia on it. If that makes you sad, I'm sorry, but I like Cresselia. I'll be a Cresselia stan forever. But Pokemon's really good. Definitely like an S tier. Speaking of other really good Pokemon. Like, there's no Pokemon that really does what Cresselia does. What Cresselia does is it really invalidates a lot of other Pokemon. So it's like, well, I'll continue to talk about Cresselia before we go on to the next one. Like, I want to show you. So, like, people are talking about, like, Legendary's power creeping things. Look at that stat line. These Pokemon get, like, the same moves. They get very similar moves, but look at the differences. Musharna 116, Cresselia 120. Musharna 85, Cresselia 120. Musharna 95, its highest, like, other stat, other than special attack, 130. It's like, what? What? And, like, why would you ever run Musharna? Yeah, Musharna gets, like, telepathy. Yeah, Musharna has less speed for Trick Room. There are things that Musharna does a little bit better than Cresselia, but, like, when it comes right down to it, Cresselia would still just beat the Musharna. And that's sad, because Cresselia just invalidates his Pokemon from even existing. Because, like, They're like, Masharni gets telepathy, you can use it with Earthquake users. And it's like, Cresselia literally has Levitate. It's so good. Oh, my switch just turned off. Well, no. I'm interested in how you would counter Cresselia. Like, what do you mean? Because, like, I think that you're looking at it in an incorrect way. I don't think you have to counter it. Cresselia is not a thing that you counter, right? Cresselia is a thing that you, like, deal with. Cresselia is like a cold. You know, you don't, like... You could take medicine, but, like, it's not fast acting. It's not like you just be like, all right, cold, you're done. You know, it's more like you gotta, like, deal with it over the course of the long game. Because if you go too hard into countering the crest, they just, like, switch it. Or ally switch it, you know? There's no, like, check to it. And then you're not just gonna one-shot their Cresselia. They're not gonna let you one-shot it either. You just kind of have to deal with it. You have to play a longer game. Believe it or not, you have to play a longer game. I think Dragapult's going to be pretty good against it. If you want to hear like a thing that I think about how to deal with it. Alright. Crobat. Crobat's good. Inner Focus. One of the best abilities in the game. No flinching. Immune to Intimidate. Crobat. 130 base speed. This guy coming back is huge if he can get Tailwind. If Crobat can get Tailwind, it'll be super good. Crobat's one of my favorites. Every team could have a Crobat in it. I think it's like, Crobat's like there's like a triangle, right? Of like Whimsicott, Talonflame, Crobat. Tornadus got thrown in there near the end of 2019. And when he changes the Tailwind, I would say Crobat becomes a little bit worse than those guys because it doesn't have that priority Tailwind. But I still think Crobat's really good. I think Crobat's so good. Everyone likes Crobat. And a lot of people are really excited for it to come back. I think I saw that it got Tailwind in that trailer. So, like, it gets Tailwind. Yeah, it was shown to use Tailwind in the last trailer. Yeah. So, like, Crobat's going to be meta. But, like, there's a bunch of different ways to run Crobat. Like, Super Fang Crobats aren't going to be as good. Personally, my favorite way to actually run Crobat, let's compare Crobat to a Pokemon that already exists. Alright. So, like, Talonflame, slower. Talonflame, weaker. Talonflame, less... All of its stats are weaker. Its Crobat is literally Talonflame, but better in every single stat but special attack. And so the way that I've actually liked to run Crobat, I know that I'm the minority here, is I actually run mine with a Life Orb. And I run like Brave Bird. Like, I go damage. Like, you literally have, like, you have, like, your Tailwind up here, right? You have your Tailwind, you might have your Taunt here, but, like, Poison freaking attack here. I mean, a Poison Fang or whatever, but, you know, whatever. Cross Poison, that's what it was. So, like, you just go Cross Poison and Brave Bird, and you just slap people in the face. You just slap them in the face. That's the set. Should you put Haze on Crobat? I wouldn't. Haze is only good because Xerneas. Sandfam only has the ability to run Tailwind first because of Gale Wings. Yep. Remember when I ran offensive Crobat in singles? It's good. It's a good Pokemon. I think the reason why I like this Crobat set is because I've been playing Crobat. I've been playing Crobat on singles team since Gen 3, and this is a very similar way to run that Crobat set. But, like, a lot of people run, like, Talonflame, like, so the way it works is when you lose their Gale Wings and Talonflame, you're kind of just slow and useless. But, like, Crobat's like, nah, fam. Like, I'm still just going to be faster than you. And remember, the really good thing about this is Inner Focus means you can't be intimidated. So, like, this Crobat set is actually going to be a really big boost. And this Crobat set is going to be a good Maxmon, too. So, like, if I pair this with, like a Choice Scarf, something, I don't even know. If I can self-policy proc and get this set off, that's going to be nutty. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot. Unless you put support tech moves on the top and damage moves on the bottom. Is there a deeper reason? I've talked about this before. What I really do think is you want to put your, like, weak moves at the top. I want your moves. So, like, the reason why I do this is I used to make teams for a lot of different players. So, like, in 2014, 2015, I used to go to regionals with, like, 5 or 6 other people at a time where I would build their teams. I would generally teach people how to play them. And so, like, I would be the one to explain to them how everything worked. And so, you know when you go into your menus and you're selecting moves, and it tells you what's super effective or what's strong or what type even the move is? That didn't used to be a thing. And so the way I always told people was when I was telling them how to play was that your moves are going to get stronger the lower you go down. So your strongest move will be on the bottom more often than not. And that's just how I like to organize it because I used to have to make teams for so many people. But yeah, that's just how I do it. I like Protects on the top. I know that I'm the minority that likes to put Protect on top. But the reason why I like Protect on top is because sometimes you happen to get auto-selected. And I'd much rather be auto-selected into not dying right, by it selecting the first move. I would much rather be auto-selected into not dying than randomly hitting something with like a Brave Bird. That's just my opinion. Knowing that if you're ever going to get auto-selected, so like in an auto-select situation where like the second, like so let's say Crowbat's on my second slot, and I'm going to get auto-selected, but I can select the first mon's move, knowing that my Crowbat's going to automatically protect without having to do anything is actually really important. So that's just my opinion. So you would normally see me go like fake outs usually in the second slot, and then damaging stab moves are near the bottom. That's just how I like to do it. All valid points. Yeah, that's just how I like to do it. All right, man. It's how much more of this list do we have? Holy crap. Oh my gosh. It's already been over an hour. I'm so tired. Can you actually somewhat test Series 17 in a showdown in a Pacific server? I'm okay. I don't need to test them. That's the thing. A lot of people are like, you should test. You should do all this. No, I'm good. I've used enough Crobat. I know what that Pokemon does. All right. This Pokemon actually is really cool. A lot of people have never used this thing. Very, very cool Pokemon. It gets a Levitate, but look at its speeds. Look at its stats. Really, really cool stat line on this thing. I like that it gets Levitate. Oh, it doesn't get Ally Switch. Never lucky. Does it get Freeze Dry, though? I think it does. Yeah. One of the few ice types. Not all ice types get Freeze Dry. So it's actually a really, really cool Pokemon. I think it gets... there's other moves this thing gets that are, like, really, really unique. I'm trying to find it. It was Recover. Yeah. So, like, this thing got Recover. It's a really, really good stat line. 80 base HP with the 135. That is straight nutty. That is, like, so good. That is so good. I really think this is a really good mono to use, like, Recover with. It's similar to... Let's compare these two. So, like, Mr. Rhyme gets Slack Off and Recovery moves. So, Mr. Rhyme has 80, but 100. 80, 135 with a 105 base speed. 105 base speed's absolutely amazing because I think I got Ancient Power too, right? Yeah. So, like, I would fight against these all the time in previous formats in, I think, like, Gen 4, Gen 5. And they would just dumpster, like, my Zards. They would be, like, Life Orb, full speed. They'd go, like, it'd be, like, spread like that. And they would just dumpster, like, Zards. They would dumpster so many things. It's actually really, really cool. I like this Pokemon. I've always liked this Pokemon. It has so many really good moves. Flash Cannon for Fairies. Blizzard, if you want to use Blizzard. It has Rapid Spin, too. I just think it's a really cool Pokemon that a lot of people really sleep on. Yeah, I think a lot of people use Ice Wind on it. But I think this Pokemon will see play for sure. I definitely think this Pokemon will see play. If not, I'll use it because I like it. I think this Pokemon is a really cool stat line. Next off, all Hailstorm Safety Goggles. I don't think you need the safety goggles on this thing. I think you need the orb. But that's just my opinion. Like, a Mr. Rhyme, a Pokemon that we already use, it, like, outclasses it by a lot. Mr. Rhyme obviously has, like, Fake Out and access to, like, the Screen Cleaner, but, you know, having Levitate on Cryoggle is actually really good. Diancie, not gonna be legal for what we're doing, but good Pokemon. Dragonite. Oh, man. You guys ready to talk about Dragonite? We've been talking about it in the Discord. And I will say, the first regional that I ever got top cut in was one that was built around Dragonite. So when I'm talking about Dragonite, I'm talking from experience and I'm talking from a place of love. I love Dragonite. And I think it's one of my absolute favorite Pokemon. Dragonite's not good, right? Dragonite's not good. For everyone thinking like, Dragonite, so good. Multi-scale weakness policy, that sounds like the best thing anyone's ever seen. It's not going to be any good. Sorry to break your bubble. It's bad. And you're like, no, you're bad. No, it doesn't work like that. Multi-scale only works when you're at full. When your Pokemon's at full, the damage taken is half. So everyone knows that it's going to be a full. No one's going to be Moonblasting your full health Dragonite, Chief. Sorry to break your bubble. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to Ice Stack it. They're not going to Icy Wind it. They're not going to do it until they break it, which means they're going to use Hail, Sandstorm, Fake Outs. And you know what? If they're using Fake Outs, you might as well just go freaking Inner Focus because it makes so you can't get intimidated. Like, Inner Focus is way better than Multi-Scale. I've talked so much about this on Discord. I've talked about it so much on Discord. All right, they could side Ice Shard to proc. All right, I want to tell you why that's really terrible, right? If you're going to side Shard proc policy, where is the damage calculator? Like, okay. You're wasting Multi-Scale, right? That's such a waste of Multi-Scale. Because, like, if you're Ice Sharding, you're going to be with, like, a Lapras, right? When you Dynamax a Pokemon, so when you Dynamax a Pokemon, you're doubling their HP, right? what Dynamax technically is like a multi-scale, right? So the damage is half from a multi-scale, right? You don't need to half your half. It'd be better off to keep the inner focus. Let me just let me pull up the damage calculator really quick. Give me 1 sec. Multi-scale is a free switch, like Mimikyu, not for weakness policy. It's hard to say. Let me pull up the damage calculator, and I'll show you guys some numbers. Okay. Okay. All right, Dragonite. 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 Blank set. Level 50. Let's put a Lapras. Because I assume you say you're going to self Ice Shard, right? That's the Pokemon that does it. Make it so we're 0. There we go. With an attack reduced nature, let's just go modest. And we're going to go Ice Shard. Okay. So, that Ice Shard does 50%. Right? Thinking, inner focus, weakness, policy, self-rock. That's where we're looking. I'm going to show you guys that's why it's better. So, it does 50% normally, right? Just 50%, that's a lot. But let's make our ability multi-scale. Alright, so it goes to 25, cuts the 19 and 25, cuts the damage in half. Take that away for a sec. So, do you want to see what also makes the damage do half? Oh! Oh yeah, oh, Dynamax, which means you have a built-in multi-scale whenever you want it already. Which means why do you need to double down and also have multi-scale? You don't need to double down. You have a toggleable multi-scale in Dynamax. So like, no, multi-scale's not good. There are situations with multi-scale can be really good. There are situations in which multi-scale can be good. I'll say that, definitely. Like if you're using maybe like a weird banded set, or you're playing it in singles, or you're not self-policy procking. If you're ever gonna self-policy proc, you do not need the multi-scale. You do not, because you're breaking your own multi-scale. Seriously, it's like saying, I'm gonna run a sturdy Pokemon with a weakness policy, but I'm gonna proc it. Do you understand how stupid that is? This is the same thing. It's like running a sturdy Gigalith with a weakness policy, but then you procking it. It's literally wasting your ability. A lot of people don't really know that, like, when you Dynamax, it's giving you this, it's making it so you take half damage, right? That's what Dynamax does. You take half damage, because it doubles your HP stat. You also said not to max Dragonite. I don't think you should max Dragonite. I think that you should not be doing it. You should never be maxing your Dragonite. I'm just trying to show that, like, Dragonite is not as good as people think. It's the same damage with the Cell Rock. It's not. It's about as stupid with beat up with Sash. Yup. So there you go. That's your Dragonite lesson. It has 80 base speed, which is... There's so many other Pokemon that have 80 base speed. Togekiss. Venusaur. Gyarados has 81. Like, 80 base speed is a little bit too slow. 100 special attack, unless you're going Special Dragonite, which you definitely can, which might even be better, is wasted. Like, the thing is, you're either going to go attack or special attack. Either way, you're wasting one of those stats. It has a really good 600 base stat pool, but it's overinflated with how high both of its offenses are. Its HP stat's good, but not great. And I just think the Dragonite's really cool, and you guys can be really excited for Dragonite, but similar to Blaziken, this is not a Pokemon to be excited about. It's not going to change the game. It's not going to do anything. I'm going to list 5 Pokemon. Where is it? This one? Do you see where we're going? All these things say that two Tapu Kokos somehow. All these Pokemon right here. Just a couple examples. Tyranitar. All those Pokemon, the Tyranitar, Excadrill, all of these, Dragonite is not able to be used. It gets hard checked by all of these Pokemon, and there's not like anything you can do about it because it's slower than all of them, other than the Lapras. But like, what's Dragonite do to Lapras? What's Dragonite do to Lapras? Let's find out. All right, so Dragonite. Let's go. 252. What move are we even gonna use? Stone Edge. Lamau. Stone Edge. And you have to be Jolly, otherwise you get outspec everything else. Lapras. Alright. You don't even KO Lapras. Doesn't have, like, anything. Let's put some Eevees in the damn Lapras. Okay, what do you do against this Lapras? You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say. It's like Dragonite just doesn't have it. It just doesn't have the sauce. It's a cool Pokemon. It's the best thing you can do with Dragonite is, like, Inner Focus with, like, E-Speed. That's the best thing you can do. And then have Train Control. Because, like, if we're going to talk about positive points about Dragonite, like Dragonite with E-Speed. Huh. Extreme Evo Boost somehow. Versus, like, a Tapu Koko. Not Max Strike. There we go. So, like, E-Speed does almost half. Doesn't that still show, like, how bad this thing is, though? Like, Koko has, like, 85 base defense and 70 base HP, and, like, E-Speed only does half. Doesn't even do half, actually. You need to be, like, adamant. And then, like, freaking have a multiplier on it. Like, a Life Orb Inner Focus one. Like, let's see how much damage does Life Orb. That's not very good. Aqua Jet, proc a teammate, and immune to Fake Out could be cool. The thing about it is, like, Aqua Jet, like, I guess that's okay versus, like, Colossal. Actually, Dragonite might be okay on Colossal, just because that's ground resistance, too. But it's just not that great. It's unfortunate, but it's similar to, like, we have this at home. We have other Pokemon like Dragapult. We have other Flyers. Like, I'd rather run a Landorus than a Dragonite most of the time, too. Oh, gosh. I'm already worn out. I'm already worn out. This list is taking forever. I might have to make this like a 5-part list. There's so many more Pokemon. We're still in the D. Alright. Maybe do the rest tomorrow? We might. Part 2? Okay, I can do a part 2.